develops. In the meantime, we did want to move on, and we wanted to talk a little World Cup action now. And in that case, I'm going to hand things over to Tyler Thrasher. Take a listen.
You might be watching the World Cup this summer and notice that some of the teams have stars on their crest. But what does it mean? Well, it's really simple. 1 star equals 1 World Cup trophy. Spain has 1 star after winning in 2010. England also has 1 star for their victory in the World Cup in 1966. France has 2 stars, one for 1998 and the other for winning in 2018. Now, Uruguay wears 4 stars, but they've only won the World Cup twice, once in 1930 and once in 1950. Now, the other 2 are for winning the 1924 and 1928 Olympics, before the World Cup ever existed. And if you ask people from Uruguay, you're probably going to be told that they have 4 World Cups. Moving up, Argentina has 3 stars.
All right, so that's just a recent example of a reel from Tyler. He is our Fox Regional Digital creator, and he has been our go-to World Cup correspondent, breaking down everything fans need to know about this summer's FIFA tournaments, actually for fans and non-fans alike. So earlier today, I actually got a chance to catch up with Tyler to mark the 2-week countdown until Team USA's first game. I also got a chance to talk to him all about the videos that he has been creating, Team USA, his World Cup predictions, and more. Take a listen. All right, Tyler Thrasher, Fox Northeast FIFA World Cup correspondent. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Live Zone Primetime.
I love the sound of that. That's awesome.
I know, right? Northeast FIFA World Cup correspondent. All right, so for those of our viewers who aren't familiar with you, haven't necessarily seen your content on our pages, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you kind of got into soccer, the World Cup. And I'm actually kind of shocked that you're not overseas right now, because I know Arsenal has a big parade coming up this weekend.
Yeah, well, we also have a big game tomorrow, which is even crazier in the Champions League final, but I'm just like fingers crossed for now. But yeah, no, things have just been crazy, like nonstop. I started making some videos about the World Cup, and then I think people realized like, oh, there's a lot more to this than we thought. And for me, my goal really has been to teach the average person that doesn't necessarily know a lot about soccer or hasn't wanted to know a lot about soccer, because we know in this country it's a little bit dismissed as a sport, which is crazy, but that's, I digress. And then kind of like give all the tips and tricks that people might need to know ahead of the tournament and help spark some interest. And if someone doesn't really know that much but wants to, that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to break down that wall and make it just easily accessible for that information and try to explain it in a way that makes sense, that isn't hard to understand. The number one question Googled during every World Cup is, what is offsides? And I have a fun video that I'm preparing for that very soon. And, I bought a referee outfit. Do all sorts of stuff.
Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned that, because I do want to show this video at the same time as we talk about this. Let me come to you here, and I'm going to do that. So speaking of buying the referee outfit, I watched this video. How many kits do you actually own?
Well, it depends. Like, as far as Arsenal kits, I probably have 30 of them. But for the national team ones, I've slowly been collecting them over the years. And since the World Cup teams started getting confirmed, I've been buying a few here and there. So right now I just have, I think, about 10 national team jerseys. I love them. I think it's a good way to throw yourself into, just different cultures and learn about them. And then once you pay $100 for a jersey, you almost need to support them, because that makes it worth it. But for me, like, I don't know, I've just always been a fan of a lot of different teams. And while I love the USA, I love supporting them. It's just, it's cool for me to have that experience.
Yeah, no question. And look, they look great. So, keep it up. All right, so we are less than 2 weeks until the tournament officially kicks off, exactly 2 weeks away from Team USA's first game. The big thing this week, obviously, was the Team USA roster reveal. You were there to see it all go down. Can you give me some initial thoughts on what you think of this Team USA, how that event went down, and basically where we stand right now as we count down to the tournament officially kicking off?
It's crazy, because I went into that being like, oh, the USA, we're not that good. And I know better. Of course we have great players, but it just always feels like there's this stigma around the team. I got up there, and then as soon as they were announcing player by player by player coming up, I was like, oh my gosh, we actually have so much talent. How could I forget? And if you see, we're playing this video right here. Like, I went up to New York. I got a tour of the studio over there. I did some hits in the morning before I traveled over to the venue that was on the rooftop of Pier 17, which is this really cool venue. I interviewed some fans, and then up on top of the rooftop, there was just so many people, so many American fans ready to support the team. get behind them. And then, like, I think I was in for a surprise. Like, I know they told us ahead of time that the players would be there, but, that's always jarring to see the entire team up on top of something like that. And to send them off and give them well wishes, even though they're not going to another country, they're staying put here, but we're not going to necessarily see them. They'll be on the West Coast. So, like, it was just, it reminded me just how special and how much talent we have in this country. And I cannot wait to support these guys.
All right, so the first friendly is this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. So what are you kind of hoping to see from that? And how big of a deal is it to see these guys play together for the first time? And not just see them play together for the first time, but them to actually play together for the first time.
Yeah, and they're all familiar with each other from playing friendlies and different competitive matches over the last few years. I mean, a lot of that group is a core group that has been doing this for a while together, even though they've been playing in different countries with their club teams. But to kind of see what they run in this friendly is probably the formations that we're going to see in the first game. And whether that means Pochettino is going to do his normal 4 at the back or start running a 3 at the back formation, we're going to be able to get a good context of how the different positions are going to line up and how the players are going to be utilized and who that starting 11 could be. But I doubt that the starting 11 that's going to start in the friendly is going to be the exact same one that started in the first game, because you've got to think about the opposition and all that. It is very different. But we will be able to see some sort of link in play, some sort of, team unison ahead of the tournament.
Which obviously it's a big deal, and it's a major factor of how well they play together. Anyone who knows basketball knows how important that chemistry is between some of these superstars. Do you think this is the most pressure Team USA has ever faced, especially since it's going to be on home turf?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I feel like USA is always under a lot of pressure to perform, but of course, being on home turf, it's a big deal. But there are other countries like England that are under way more pressure by their team, no matter what World Cup tournament they're in, because that's just how the fandom is. But I think with USA, like, it'll be really good for them to hear our support, for them to see how much, America has grown in liking soccer over the last decade, or the last 2 decades, 3 decades, from 1994. Which is the last World Cup that was held here. There's such a huge change in the amount of support and the amount of viewership in soccer just by accessibility and the expansion of it. But, it'll be good for them, obviously, to see that support and to feel it. And for me, I can't wait.
Who do you think is the most important player for Team USA right now?
I mean, you're always going to say Christian Pulisic, who's our main guy pulling the strings. Well, he only had about 8 goals and 4 assists, I believe, in the league for Milan last season. That doesn't necessarily mean that form will translate over into the United States. I feel like he always steps his game up a little bit more when he's wearing the captain's armband and playing for the Stars and Stripes. But there are plenty of really important players. Obviously, Matt Turner, our goalkeeper, he actually had a loan stint from New England Revolution to Richmond Kickers, then went over to Arsenal for a year, never played a league game for us, went to Nottingham Forest, came back to New England Revolution. So his career path has always been connected to mine in a weird way. Not that I play soccer, like professional, but just that wherever I've lived or whatever team I've supported, Matt Turner's always been there. So I've always got my eye on him. And then we've got really just incredible midfield players in Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie. Serginho Dest is a really good fullback. We have Aaron Robinson, who's Jedi, is what they call him. He's incredible. There's just so many great players on this team. And like I said, when they were lining up in front of me, I was just like, I forgot. My bad. I forgot how good we are.
That's a good problem to have, though, and I think, especially when it comes to this. When you talk about Team USA, how do they kind of stack up? How does this roster stack up against some of the other Team USA World Cup rosters?
I mean, Landon Donovan in the past was always that guy. It was like we had Landon Donovan, Clint Dempsey up top. There's Josie Altidore, Tim Howard. Very good players, but it feels like this team is the most built for this competition that it's ever been. There's a lot of players playing overseas most of the time, and especially in previous World Cups, most of our squad was playing within the MLS. There wasn't a lot of overseas expansion. We have a lot of players playing in Germany, some in England, some even in Italy, like I said, with Christian Pulisic, who's playing for AC Milan. So having all those different styles in those countries, playing for these top-level clubs that are in the Champions League and the Europa League, having that experience, bringing that back to the United States, that's so important and so we need to value that a lot higher, in my opinion, because now that we have that experience over there, that's going to bleed into the style of play, especially with someone like Mauricio Pochettino at the helm, who has so much experience at Tottenham Hotspur. I'll bite my tongue on that one, but he also went to Paris Saint-Germain, who's now in the Champions League final that we're playing tomorrow. But and he's jumped around. He went to Chelsea, had a stint there, and then now coaching his first national team in the USA. He's going to have a lot to prove, and he's going to want to show it on the world stage.
So what do you think a realistic expectation is for Team USA at this point?
In the group stages, I had us coming second to Turkey because Turkey is just a really good side. Obviously, the European sides are always going to have a lot more firepower. But I was worried at first about, because Chris Richards, one of our best defenders, he was looking like he was going to be injured for this, but he came back for the Europa Conference League final. That was last night or the night before, and he played really well. It was really good to see him back, and and he got announced obviously when we were on stage, so he's going to be part of the squad. And going forward, it just depends. Like, having that home support is going to mean a lot to me, in my opinion. Especially over there in SoFi, they go crazy, and I hope we fill the stadium because that'll push us over the line. In any big competition, having your fans behind you goes a long way.
Very, very, very true. Speaking of fans, and because of where you are right now, which is in the city of brotherly love, as we like to call it, it's Philadelphia. They're a rough and tumble group of people. What is the vibe like in Philly right now ahead of this World Cup tournament and games kicking off at Lincoln Financial Field?
I think we're all trying to just get people excited about it because it feels like the World Cup is coming closer and closer to us. And my plan with this whole thing is, now that I'm here, I'm starting to interview just individual fans from different nations that are coming to Philadelphia. So I did one with Haiti yesterday that I posted. And really, it's just to show the things that matter more than just the game. It's a cultural experience. These are teams that a lot of them, they haven't even seen their country play in a World Cup before. And so Curacao is going to be here, and that's one of the teams that it's their debut in the World Cup. So how does this mean to the nation? And that answers a lot more than just, how are they going to play on the field? I think like a country with as small of a population as Curacao with 150,000 people, that is incredible. That 26 of them are going to be playing in the World Cup, and they get to watch and support them. So for me, and as far as Philly goes, we are passionate. We have a lot of sports culture here. That is an understatement. Like, people rally behind it. It's always sports. Whether it's the Eagles or the Flyers or the Phillies. And I think, I always say, like, Brazilians remind me the most of Philly fans. Like, Brazilians are the Philly of South America because they get so passionate about the team, and I just see so many similarities between the two. But for me, like, it's just, if we can get that excited about the sports that are in our hometown, you can get excited about this 39-day tournament that we may never have again in this country. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's been decades since the last time. So with the tournament kicking off in a little less than 2 weeks, what is like one thing you're most excited to see?
I love an underdog story, and I always hope that there's one, especially the further along we get into the tournament, like the round of 32. This is a brand new time. So the top two teams in each group advance. So in each group, there's 12 groups. So there's 4 teams in each of those 12 groups. The top 2 in each group will advance. Then the 8 best third place finishers also advance. So only 4 of the third place teams don't go to the round of 32, and all of the fourth place teams also exit. It's kind of a mouthful to explain all that, but that gives a lot more of an opportunity for these smaller teams to make it to the round of 32, which is just a standard knockout phase. So if they somehow win a game, they can continue to go along and ride that momentum. So there's a lot of storylines that will come out throughout the tournament. But like I said, one of the things I'm most excited for is just the cultural aspect and being able to see all these new cultures come into my city. Like Ivory Coast, I posted a picture of me just wearing their jersey, and the amount of love that I got from that was crazy, just because they feel like, that representation matters, that fandom, that love, it means so much more than just supporting a soccer team on the field.
So I know you did post a video where you did do kind of a breakdown, some of your predictions. Can you walk us through some of your early predictions for each of these group stages?
Yeah, I've been getting cooked for this video. I'm not gonna lie, because basically what I've been trying to do is just teach people like the basics. So what I did was just kind of show people who the best team in each group would be, and the comment section is giving me a hard time. Like, oh, you picked all the easy ones. Look, I don't know how this is going to shake up, but I don't have enough information right now to stick my neck out on the line and say that a country like Sweden is going to come top of the group. Like, you never know. Anything can happen in this World Cup. But like what I did in this video, essentially, for those who are learning about soccer, is kind of show these are the teams that are expected to advance, right? So Argentina, France, Portugal, Spain, Brazil, like those teams. But anything can happen. This is what I say, the magic of the World Cup. That's it. You never know.
You never know, but if the tournament started tomorrow and you had to make a prediction, who do you see going all the way?
You see me walk around that, but I'm always going to be an England fan. I just think that they have such a good squad, and because I watch Premier League, I see these players every single week in my free time. I just know their birthplaces in England to places I've never even been, and to see them after what they've been through in the Euros, the last two Euro competitions where they've bowed out in the final or the semi, and it's just, you want to support them. And there's four of the players that got called up play for Arsenal. So I try to, back my boys as much as I can. But it would be nice to see. So personally, I'd like to see England go pretty far.
Yeah, and I know that our meteorologist here on the morning show, Tucker Barnes, would like that as well. He is someone who is continually disappointed by their performance in these sort of international tournaments. All right, so we've talked about some of the teams. What about some of the, behind you, obviously Messi was one of the huge stories on the last World Cup. Obviously, the entire world, and especially Argentina, rooting for him. Who were some of the names this time around fans are going to be super psyched about and love to see?
Yeah, and I think ideally this would be Messi, Ronaldo, and Neymar's last World Cup. Neymar cannot stay fit for the life of him. He's even injured right now, and we'll see if he's even able to go. But obviously, those are storylines we're going to be watching. These are their last moments on the biggest stage. Messi maybe. I mean, it's most likely that this is his last time. But there are a lot of up and comers that are really good. Lamine Yamal is head and shoulders above all the youth that have come out of La Masia, which is Barcelona's academy, in the last decade. He's so good. You have the likes of Kylian Mbappe, obviously, who scored a hat trick in the final in 2022. And he's just an incredibly versatile attacker who leads his team every time he steps out on the pitch. It's part of France, history. He's already become a part of, and he's still rather young in his career. You have really good defenders. I'll champion William Saliba, who is a center back for France, who also plays for Arsenal. But there's plenty of other great talent that are scattered throughout every nation, and it's just exciting to kind of look and watch their careers develop even further once they get that spotlight on at the World Cup. Then of course, during the summer, they start getting linked transfers to every other team because the coaches are all watching this tournament. So I hope that all of Arsenal's best players stay put. But there's just so much good talent out there.
So you mentioned getting roasted for that one video. Overall, though, what has the response been like to what you're providing, to these videos, these explainers? I mean, I have found them absolutely invaluable, and I know you've been doing hits not only for us here on the Live Zone, now the Live Zone Primetime. You've done hits for Philly, you've done hits for New York. What kind of response have you been getting from people?
Dude, I'm learning on the fly every single day. Not just about the sport, but just what do people care about? What do they want to know? What do they need to know? Most of the things that I'm doing, everything that I'm doing is something I'm assigning myself. And so I've also been writing a lot of article breakdowns. I've written over, I think, 150 that are just FIFA related in the last 6 months. And that's my, every time I have a question that pops in my mind, I'm like, someone else might ask that question. So I either make a video or I write an article about it and I get it out there. And I think steadily, obviously with social media, the algorithm doesn't necessarily think that I'm the soccer guy yet. It thinks that I'm the Philly guy, but it's slowly started to learn that I produce soccer content now, and I'm growing my audience more and more. And that's been really exciting to watch that happen. Soccer fans tend to have a negative opinion about everything, and that's just, it's like football, right?
Well, I was going to say, you've got to be used to that, being a Philly guy now.
Yeah. exactly. Philly trained me for this. I may get cooked in some videos, but it's easy for me. But I think overall the experience has been really good. The feedback I've been getting is really good, and most of the time, it's people are just like, "Keep going, do your thing," and I'm like, "Cool."
Well, DC has one of the biggest audiences for international soccer. So I encourage everyone watching right now to go give you a follow. And if they want to do that, Tyler, how can they?
They can follow me on Instagram at Thrasher TV. That is my last name, Thrasher. That first H is very critical. Do not type in Trasher. All of my British coaches growing up, they could not get my last name right. So Thrasher TV.
Thrasher TV. Tyler, thanks so much for spending some time with us here tonight, and we can't wait to check in with you some more as this tournament gets underway in the coming weeks. All of the coverage right here on Fox. So we are your place to be. We appreciate it so much.
Yes, sir.
All right, so that was Tyler Thrasher, our Fox local FIFA correspondent. Shout out to him. Give him a follow for all of his great World Cup content if you're interested.